Hey guys, so today is going to be super fast. I'm going to run you through the basics of foam rolling and why we do it and why we do use them. And then I'm also going to tell you about this new product, which is called a pulse roll. And this is basically a foam roller that has 4 intensities of vibration. So I was talking to a friend who is a physio and a PT about 2 weeks ago. We were geeking out about muscular recovery after workouts and all those kind of fun things that people like me talk about. And he was like, oh my God, you have to try this new thing. And I sort of went, well, of course. And so he bought me one and now we are here. So foam rollers, if I can speak, come in 2 sort of sizes really. There's this kind of size, or there's one that's probably the length of my torso. They either come like this or a bit more grooved with teeth, or they come flat and smooth. The ones which have more kind of undulations in them are going to be a little bit more intense. So if you've never used one before, go for a flat one to start off with. And if you're only going to use one and you have it at home, then I tend to go for the bigger ones just because they're a bit more versatile. You can do a few more things on them. If you're going to travel around with it though, obviously go for a smaller one. And I'll also tell you about some other things that you can use instead, like balls and that kind of stuff as well. So foam rolling in itself is designed to work on fascia. It's a form of myofascial release, and fascia is the casing that you have around all of your muscles, and it's connected throughout the entire body. One of the things I see a lot with people is the fact that they don't work on their fascia, and what this can then mean is that that fascia gets tight in one area and then they get injuries or feelings of soreness elsewhere, but they don't actually know that it's due to the fascia. So they start working on the symptom, they don't treat the root cause, which is obviously what I'm all about. If I give you an example, somebody who injures their ankle, maybe they sprain it if they fall over or if they're doing something like football, they might work on the ankle, it kind of gets a bit better, they sort of move on from it. Then, like 2-3 weeks later, they start to get a weird shoulder, a weird neck. And that is just because the fascia around the ankle has got tight. It's then pulling all across the body and it's resulting in pain up here. So you can work as much as you want on the shoulder and the neck, but if you've still got this pulling from down here, it will keep continuing. So yes, fascia and looking after the fascia is really, really important. You can foam roll at any point, and I have to say I'm a bit addicted to it, so I tend to do it in the morning, in the evening, whenever I fancy. It's really, really good if you sit at a desk as well. So I'm going to talk about it in terms of working out. But actually, if you are just somebody who is generally quite sedentary, or you feel a little bit stiff, perhaps you're a little bit older and you just need a little bit of sort of support with your mobility, if you drive a lot, anything like that, foam rolling will help because it will help with generally opening up, generally releasing, general flexibility, general mobility. So yes, it's not just about working out, but to sort of cut things short, I'm going to talk about it in terms of working out today. So you can do it anytime, as I've said, but if you're going to do it around a workout, you can do it before or after, and the way you would do it and the reasons why differ slightly depending on when you're doing it. So if you're doing it before a workout, you're looking at muscle activation as opposed to kind of muscle relaxation and stretching. When we think about muscle groups, we have bigger muscle groups. Your quads are pretty big. Things like your glutes are pretty big. They are just as integral, though, as the smaller muscle groups, things like the little ones that hold your knees straight, and the other parts of your glutes, like your glute medius. All of those are not going to work as hard, though, if you have a big muscle group that can take over. But when we see that happening, if you imagine that your big glute is working, but the bit on the inside of your knee isn't working, you've got real pull on one side and not so much pull on the other, and then your poor, supposedly straight leg starts to go the other way. And then we get things like the kneecap doesn't track properly. Then you get a sore knee. So what we really want to do is make sure that everything is working beautifully in line, beautifully in sync. And that's one of the things a foam roller can be really, really useful for. So before a workout, as I say, activation. You're going to be doing a short sequence. If you were using this, you'd only use the first 2 intensities of the vibration. I'll tell you why in a sec. But what you want to do is you want to work on those small muscle groups. You can follow a mobility sequence, and I'll give a link to some like that underneath this video. But yeah, so that's the idea, a muscle activation to start off with. Then if we look after a workout, there what you're trying to do is you're trying to do muscular relaxation, release that fascia, improve blood flow to those muscles that have just worked, get rid of the lactic acid, and that's why foam rolling will improve muscular recovery. Because if you've got things like lactic acid hanging out in the muscles, they'll make those muscles sore because nothing wants acid in it for a long period of time and you will naturally break it down. But if you can increase the rate at which it leaves, you're going to find that you bounce back from your workouts more quickly. And that brings me straight on to Mr. Pulse Roll. So the benefit of the vibration is it's supposed to help with both the activation and with that muscular recovery by really increasing the amount of blood and oxygen that you get to the muscles and therefore pushing that lactic acid out. So when I say about the intensity of vibration, you have a button here and it has 4 settings. If I turn it on, it's going to make a bit of a noise, but we'll go for it. So you turn it on, 1, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, and off again. So 1 and 2 are designed for before your workout. They're going to be your muscle activation. And the thing that I also really like is you can actually hold something like a core exercise on here and really get things like your lower abs going, because you're not only holding on a slightly unstable surface, but then an unstable surface that's also vibrating. So you could do that on a standard foam roller and that would be great, but having the extra vibration means that you're going to work those deep muscles harder. You wouldn't use 3 and 4 before a workout because it's going to fatigue the muscles, which is not what you want to do if you're then going to do some actual exercise. You would use those intense vibrations afterwards for that really nice deep release. And the one thing that I really found great about this is something like a static stretch that you wouldn't necessarily do on a foam roller because you're going to keep moving. You can do on here, because you could say do a split and have your leg over the top and have this under your hamstring, and then pop the vibration on, and it's just going to work deep into that muscle. You feel a real release, and I was doing it yesterday and I popped it on my piriformis, which is a bit of the muscle that goes around the outside of your hip. You just sit on it and you pop the opposite ankle over the opposite knee and kind of rest on it on the side. You get that gorgeous vibration going in and you just feel everything releasing. So in terms of stuff that can be sort of a bit of a gimmick, all singing, all dancing, I really don't think this is. I really enjoyed using it. I did an incredibly intensive strength training circuit yesterday, really enjoyed it, but was kind of dreading how sore I'd be today. Did this afterwards, and of course I can still feel it today. It's not as if it's gone completely, but I do not feel nearly as sore as I know I would have done had I not used this. As I mentioned, you can use other things for foam rolling. So you can use things like hard balls, so lacrosse balls, tennis balls, great for runners working into their feet, great for anybody working into their feet. Think about how much work your feet do, and that fascia's there as well. It will get tight. Ladies who wear heels, you really need to work on your feet. It will get rid of that ache. Also great for working into things like shoulders. If you get sort of funny around your hips, that glute medius, that piriformis that I was talking about. And these guys also do, I think it's called the peanut ball or something like that. And it's an actual ball that vibrates. So again, if you're traveling a lot and you get lots of things like sore shoulders, sore backs, sore hips, maybe that would be a better version for you because it's really nice and easy to carry with you. I mean, I'm one of these people who would probably put this in my suitcase, but that's me. So yes, if you're looking for an investment that will actually be of benefit, and as I say, it's not a gimmick, give these guys a look. All available online. I'm not sure where my friend got this one, but I think he might have done. But yes, definitely one to check out. Definitely one that I could recommend. I'm actually really impressed at how great I think this is. So yeah, that's my thought on that. If you've got any more questions about things like foam rolling or in general on muscular recovery, workouts, anything like that, write them below or send me an email and I will happily come back to you. Bye for now.